When you hear dust in English, you think about dryness. But man wasn't formed from dust, from dry dust. He was formed from wet ground, which is extremely important because the Bible tells us that evil spirits like dry things. God went through the trouble of wetting the ground before forming man. He didn't put the man in a body. The Bible didn't say God formed man's body, it says he formed man. The word form means to process a raw material. In essence, God took man through another evolution. So what he barad in chapter 1, he then formed, he processed, he produced something from in chapter 2. In essence, there was a consecutive or culminatory activity that ended up with man being body. You will notice that the Bible says God breathed into man the breath of life. In essence, the definition of life here is tied almost specifically to what God offered, and therefore by extension who he is. There is no other creature made in Genesis 1 or referred to in Genesis 2 whose life is co-joined or compared or connected to God except for man. Man is spirit, soul, and body. The body is the container of the breath of life. The question then becomes, if God created Adam in Genesis chapter 1 and spoke and gave instructions concerning him, and the Bible says God saw that it was good, was Adam alive or dead in Genesis chapter 1? The question is, what kind of life are we talking about? Because technically he was alive. He existed in the spirit world and he existed within the confines of the earth. The question then becomes, if Adam became a living soul, is it possible to have a dead soul? The Bible says, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. The question then becomes, is God referring to you physically dying, or is there another dimension of death your soul can go through while you are physically tethered to the seen realm? And if it's possible to die before, in essence, it's possible to be alive yet dead, it is also possible to be alive beyond life. Your soul is your nefesh. The Bible says Adam became a living soul. There would be no need to add the word living before soul if it was not possible to be a dead soul. The word soul, nefesh, does not speak about whether or not that soul is living or dead. God told Adam, the day you sin, you will die. The Bible says the soul that sins, it will die. In essence, sin kills the soul. A life is determined by the principles and rules, the laws that are acting on that person. That's why Jesus said, I've come to offer you another level of life and more abundantly. Jesus' life was in the spirit realm of enough value as a currency that it settled the debts of a minimum of 10 billion human beings that have ever lived and are currently living, not counting those who will be born from the second I'm speaking now into the future. That was the value of his life. And it is that life that is being rationed to us in increasingly greater measures when we come into this thing called salvation. When life met death. Remember, this life is higher than being alive, meaning it is higher than the antidote, because death, physical death, is the antidote to being alive. If it's higher than physical life, it must be higher than physical death. Not one time did Jesus meet physical death did he flinch. So yes, we must not cheapen the ministry of Jesus and reduce it to simply being seen as being able to have a good life. In essence, the goal of this life is not to meet your needs on the earth. It is not, the ultimate goal is not so you can enjoy your earthly sojourn, but you enjoying your earthly sojourn is a very valid byproduct. In essence, it is so potent to deal with the true spiritual reality that it can very easily deal with everything along the way.